and all Americans should know what this decision means. It means cancel culture and partisan activists are coming for your business. They're coming for your game or event in your hometown. And they're coming to cancel everything from sports to how you make a living.
I don't think he's exaggerating. Governor Kemp reacting to the news that Major League Baseball moving the All-Star game out of Atlanta. Totally ridiculous, all in response to, I think, lies that have been told about the new Georgia voting law. Let's bring in Senator Tom Cotton, Republican of Arkansas. Senator, welcome back to Newsmax. How are you?
I'm good, Greg. Thank you. It's good to be back on with you.
Welcome back. This was huge news over the weekend, Major League Baseball's decision. Your reaction, and also, is there anything Congress can or should do about this?
It's very disappointing to see Major League Baseball cave to the liberal mob and pull the All-Star game out of Atlanta, Greg. This is nothing but lies and exaggerations about the Georgia election law, which is designed to streamline Georgia elections, make them more efficient, make them safe and secure, while also convenient and accessible for Georgia voters. Georgia had a lot of problems with its elections last year, and not just on November 3rd. In the summer primaries as well, they had long lines. This law is designed to solve those problems and give the people of Georgia both convenience and competence in their elections. Major League Baseball and Rob Manfred in particular should not have caved in to the liberal mob. They didn't cite any particular objections to this law. If they did, they were not factually based. I would note, too, that some people have said CBS should withdraw its sponsorship from the Masters Golf Tournament. Well, guess who's a member at the prestigious Augusta National Golf Club? Rob Manfred. And until he resigns his membership and urges Augusta to replace him with a woman or a minority, I'll suspect that Rob Manfred is not really that sincere about this pose, that it's nothing but a pose designed to placate the liberal mob that was coming after Major League Baseball.
By the way, is there anything else possibly at work here? Yes, it's woke virtue signaling, to be sure, but Major League Baseball is a multi-billion-dollar business, and it's complex, and they've got a lot of matters that come up before Congress. Last year, they paid more than $1 million lobbying to lobbyists to get certain things done. Do you think any of that applies here? Are they just trying to curry favor? Are they also trying to curry favor with Democrats and Joe Biden?
Well, if they are, I can tell you they're going to fail, because when you cave into these liberal mobs, it's never enough for them. They always come back and they demand even more. But it's not just Major League Baseball. It's other blue chip corporations like Delta and Coca-Cola who think that they can cave into these liberal mobs, and they come running to Republicans in Congress because they want to block tax increases and more regulation. Well, I got news for them. If they want Joe Biden's election law, they may very well get Joe Biden's tax laws as well.
Hey, by the way, Joe Biden, I think, and you mentioned the lies that have been told about this bill. We've heard them since the very beginning. And Joe Biden, he's telling them himself. He says he's sick and this is an atrocity. And what are your thoughts on his personal integrity?
Well, look, even the Washington Post, which is Jeff Bezos' personal broadsheet for the Democratic Party, has called Joe Biden out for these lies. Simple things like saying that polls must close at 5 p.m., which is simply not the case. All Georgia did was standardize business hours to say it's 9 to 5, but counties can go from 7 to 7 if they want. I would also note that Joe Biden's home state of Delaware doesn't offer early voting the way Georgia does. It doesn't have anywhere near the number of drop boxes that Georgia does. So is Joe Biden going to call Delaware a Jim Crow state for trying to restrict the vote and suppress the vote? Something tells me that he probably will not do so. But it shows a severe lack of integrity that Joe Biden not only misrepresented this law, but continues to misrepresent it and directs his aides and advisors to misrepresent it on television. Could you imagine the meltdown you would be having at the New York Times and CNN if it were Donald Trump who were doing this instead? Yet the mainstream media just lets it all go by unnoticed, except for a single fact check in the Washington Post.
Also being misrepresented is the United States military. The new Secretary of Defense is a former general by the name of Lloyd Austin. And here's what he said about certain kinds of training that are going to be happening soon.
The truth of the matter is, we need your help. I'm talking, of course, about extremism and extremist ideology. I also want you to share with your leadership your own personal experiences with encountering extremists and extremist ideology in the military? Should you have any?
Some of us are concerned that this is code to root out Trump supporters, that kind of thing, and that they're politicizing an organization that generally is not political, in my experience, and I think in your experience as well.
No, Greg, the military is not political, especially down the front lines. It's not political. You know, when you're depending on your life for the buddy to your left and your right, you don't really concern yourself with their party affiliation or with the color of their skin. Look, no one wants extremists in our military. I recall when I joined, as you probably do as well, you know, you had to go through and list any tattoos you had to make sure that you weren't joining up gang members who had identifiable gang tattoos. The military needs to take prudent steps to ensure that we don't have extremists in our ranks. But I can tell you, I served around thousands of soldiers over nearly 5 years in active duty. I can't remember being around a single extremist or someone who was identified as one later in their term of service. I bet the same is the case for you. So it's fine to make sure that we don't have extremists in the military, but to the extent that we're going to start forcing regular routine training or make it an obsessive focus of commanders down to the company level, we're taking our mind and our time off what the military is designed to do, which is to protect this country and keep it safe. Well, it's one thing if corporations like Delta and Coca-Cola want to obsess about these things and hurt their shareholders' bottom line. It's a whole other thing if our military doesn't. The military is literally what keeps us free and independent as a nation. And
they're doing that. You had a great piece in the National Review about this. There's no place in America's military for racist training. Throughout the military, there are now these woke reading lists all over the place. One book on the Navy's recommended reading list is How to Be an Anti-Racist, which is arguably racist in and of itself. It is a highly problematic book. But you wrote something else that's interesting. You say, the military's strength is not its diversity, but its ability to weather adversity through unity. Very interesting. But talk about that if you would, because I always hear that. Diversity is our strength. Diversity is our strength. Can you go further on that, please?
Well, it goes back to the old motto, e pluribus unum, from many one. Yes, we came from many different places, many different faiths and creeds, many different ethnicities and races, but we became one as a people. And there's no place where that's more important than in our military. I remember in my basic training, you know, we had all races, we had many different religions, we had no religions whatsoever. But what we were trained to do is to look past that towards our common purpose and objective, which was to defend the country and to serve selflessly and patriotically. And if the man or woman to your right or left fell down on a foot march, you picked them up. If they were injured, you cared for them. If they needed assistance, you gave it to them. That was not done based on race or color or ethnicity or sex or political creed. In fact, oftentimes you didn't even know the political views of the person serving to your left and right. Our military should be focused on creating that kind of sense of purpose, that unity of mission, and that focus on what the military's job is, which is to keep the country safe, not trying to raise consciousness about racial difference.
Joe Biden talked about unity a lot. I don't think he knows anything about it. You could teach him a lot. Senator Cotton, we thank you once again, Republican of Arkansas. Great to see you, sir.
Thank you, Greg.
All right, to be continued, and we'll be right back.